Hi everyone, my name is Wesley Xu. I'm an MBA fellow at our Center for Digital Strategies at Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth. Today, I'm here at our Tech at Tuck event, which is part of our annual BRIT Technology Impact Series. And we are very fortunate to have Justin Holmes from Zipcar with us today. Justin is currently the Director of Corporate Communications at Zipcar. And before that, he undertook several roles at the government, with the latest being the CIO at the City of Boston. Justin, thank you so much for being with us today.
Great, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, despite all this snow, you still managed to be here. That's some dedication.
It was great to escape the city of Boston and head north where there's more snow.
Yeah, exactly. So, speaking of the snow, we know that recently there have been several severe snowstorms in the Boston area. So how have that impacted the business of Zipcar?
Sure, yeah. Well, in New England and in Boston in particular, we've seen a really historic couple of weeks, with record amounts of snowfall, particularly accumulating as it did, really all in a tight time frame. So from a business standpoint, of course, that's a logistical and operations challenge for us. We're fortunate in Boston, we have a fleet of over 1,000 vehicles, and many of those are in private garages. So we're sheltered from the storm, but we do have approximately 800 vehicles that are outdoors and that require an effort that, of course, we planned for, it being New England. Eventually it will snow, but it really has tested certainly the patience of many people in Boston, and we have a great crew, though, that does go out and respond to storms and events like this.
I just mentioned that the topic for our Tech at Tuck event today is on the sharing economy. And actually, Zipcar started about 15 years ago.
We did.
As a car sharing company. It's long before the term the sharing economy was even invented.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how Zipcar started?
Sure.
And how its business evolved during the last 15 years?
Sure, of course. So our company started 15 years ago this January. So we just celebrated our 15th birthday just a few weeks ago in Boston.
Congratulations.
And the company, thank you very much. Thank you. It's fun, and we're very proud to be part of that history, that legacy. We started as really a startup that was founded by two women entrepreneurs who went on to start a business really in Cambridge, Massachusetts, across the river from where our headquarters is located today.
Right.
And it really was a very simple concept for them. One of the co-founders had learned about car sharing, which had grown to some success in Europe, and decided in congested cities like Boston, people were longing for an alternative to live either car-free or car-light. So they decided to launch their business in Boston with one car. It was a green VW bug named Bilbo.
Oh, wow.
They had keys to the vehicle were hidden under a rock, and clipboard was their reservation system.
It was
it was a very different time.
Yeah.
And early members had to be had personal interviews with the co-founders in their living room. And so if you were deemed trustworthy enough, you earned your right to the secret location where the key was hidden under the rock, and you took the car from there. And since that time, 15 years later, we've now scaled to 900,000 members in 30 cities across the world, and some of the most major cities in the U.S. So it really was an innovative business concept, an innovative model that really did give birth and give rise, we feel, to what has grown to be a very successful sharing economy here in the U.S.
That's a great story. And of course, now 15 years later, there are a lot of more players in the market. Companies like Uber or GetAround, which is a peer-to-peer car sharing services. So who do you view as your biggest competitors, and what is your winning strategy?
Sure. So our competitor has really always been personal vehicle ownership. So truly, Zipcar offers you an alternative to live either car-free or car-light. And the rising sea of transportation options for someone now in the city actually helps enable our business model. Zipcar, we've really given birth to an industry of Zipcar ofs, whether it's companies like Rent the Runway, who now you can rent or reserve, a ballroom gown. Zipcar really pioneered that business model, that sharing economy.
Exactly.
And in the transportation space is no different. That we live in a time now where if you live in a city, it is now easier than ever to live without a personally owned vehicle. But when you do occasionally need a car, because occasionally you do, we would like to be that car for you. And so, the reach, the accessibility, the convenience, the reliability of a service like Zipcar remains an extremely unique value proposition, and one that, again, I think is the rising sea of options helps really enable more potential members for us.
And that's all true, because personally I'm a Zipcar member.
Great.
And
I hope you're happy with the service.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the service, because one thing I love about Zipcar is that I can locate and unlock my car with my cell phones.
Yep.
And we're all talking about this connected world. Everything's connected, Internet of Things, all those kind of things. And so what do you think this hybrid connectivity, what kind of impact do you think it has on the Zipcar business model?
Sure, it's absolutely enabled our business model. I would say there are probably three major macroeconomic factors that really have helped us to grow and scale. First is the behaviors of millennials who are really value access over ownership in a really new way. Second would, of course, be the economy over the last several years. Transportation costs can be up to 20 or even 30 in some cases % of someone's household budget.
Wow.
So as people are looking to reduce the cost of transportation, they look for more affordable options, and Zipcar is in that mix. And certainly, as you point out, one of the leading factors that has helped enable our business to grow is technology. So the advent of not only ubiquitous access to the internet, but having that in your pocket at any time. You can reserve a Zipcar. Some members choose to reserve a Zipcar by calling us or going to their personal computer, but increasingly, people are looking for on-demand access to wheels when they want them. And that's really where mobile technology has helped us to grow.
Oh, that's really the way I use Zipcar now. All on my cell phone, everything on my cell phone. So it's a different time especially for a younger generation today.
Yeah, and the world is moving in that direction. Everyone is mobile first.
And from what I've read on the news, now you have over 800,000 members. That's a lot of customers. And we know that companies like Amazon, they use this data they gather from their customers to provide more personalized services to them. So does Zipcar do any harnessing the power of big data? Can you tell us more about that?
We certainly do, but we try to do so in a way that is not, how should I say, creepy to our members.
We don't want that.
Yeah, and I think many companies struggle with the balance between wanting to provide a high quality service to their members, but not intrude on their personal privacy. So I think the broader challenge for industry, and in particular folks who work either in the tech industry like we do, or even other companies, finding the right balance between that is often a challenge. For us, we feel, being able to present our members with options that are more personalized to them. If we know that you prefer a certain vehicle, we're going to offer that vehicle to you maybe over other vehicles that you might not be interested in. And we feel, our customers appreciate that level of good service. But, I think companies do have to ask the question, at what point does that become too, again, for lack of a better word, creepy?
Right?
And so, we pride ourselves, we don't do things like track the precise location of vehicles because we do think that intrudes on member privacy.
Yes.
But I do think this is a challenge that really we face over the next decade or so. And as regulators in particular, policymakers begun to enter this space, I think industry has an obligation to help try to, in the interim, navigate that balance in view of providing what I feel is an exceptional member experience, which should drive many of these.
Okay, so the key here is to try to find the right balance between these things.
Very much.
Okay, and of course, when we talk about all this data available, we have to talk about the security.
Sure.
Especially with the recent data breach incidents. So how does Zipcar protect the data, all this huge amount of customer data you have, without jeopardizing your ability to make use of this data?
Yeah. Well, we take it very seriously, and of course, we have the latest technology with enterprise security, et cetera, that would allow our data to remain confidential. And so we take that extremely seriously. One of our core values at Zipcar is obsessing about the member experience, and certainly no one would want a member experience where there is a data breach. We've been very fortunate to have our customer data, sensitive records, be extremely well protected. But we know that we operate in a world today where even some of the most secure companies are vulnerable, and so part of our core value of obsessing about the member experience is if that ever should be the case for a company like us or a company like Zipcar, or another company, it's important to be fully transparent with your membership so that they understand what data might be subject for review or concern by parties outside of our relationship.
Looks like you take the data security issue very seriously.
We do.
And I'm very confident in your ability to protect my personal privacy. All right. So also, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a personal Zipcar member, and I actually, when I was here during my first year, I didn't even feel the need to purchase my own car.
Yeah.
Because whenever I want to go somewhere, I just hop into a Zipcar and go there. And I pay by the hours, which is great. And some people even say that companies like Zipcar or Uber or GetAround could potentially disrupt the auto industry because people no longer need to buy their own cars. And it can potentially change people's purchasing decisions. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've had our data studied by researchers for years, over the years that we've been in business, and we can now predict that every Zipcar takes about 15 personally owned vehicles off the road, which is an important part. If you are a city, what you're looking to do as cities' populations grow is to reduce congestion and beginning to look at reducing private vehicle ownership. Again, we operate in a world we understand that sometimes you still need a car, and so we want to enable that.
Sure.
With, again, wheels by the hour, by the day, that make it a convenient alternative to owning a car. Certainly we're disruptive in many ways, right? We were a pioneer of the sharing economy in the U.S., and certainly, many automakers maybe 15 years ago felt concerned that we would eventually disrupt and lead to this day where, where people live without a personally owned vehicle. But we at Zipcar know that, it's really, it's about your phase of life. And if you're living in a congested city, sometimes owning a car is a hassle. So, so owning a set of wheels may not be feasible for you.
Right.
If you live on a college campus, and now we're on over 400 colleges and university campuses, having on-demand access to a vehicle might just fit your lifestyle at that phase of life. But we know, and automakers know, that you may shift out of that phase of life and, decide to have a family where, access to a vehicle becomes more important to you 24/7. And so, automakers realize that. And in fact, some of our strongest partners are actually automakers. We have a partnership with Ford that's on several college and university campuses.
We have a Ford right over there.
There you go. That helps introduce college students, college university campus students to the latest Ford makes and models, so that if they do decide to phase out of Zipcar membership and into personal vehicle ownership, Ford sees that as a way to help introduce potential customers to vehicles at a later point. Again, some of our strongest partners have been vehicle manufacturers, and some vehicle manufacturers are even looking to the sharing economy and see that as a way forward for them on the not so distant horizon anymore. But our vision, our core mission, still remains this day that we see where car sharing outnumbers car ownership, and we remain very committed to that.
All right, that's some great vision you have. And personally, I think Zipcar was just my lifesaver during my first year. It basically freed me so I can go anywhere I want.
Yeah, and we hear testimonials from members like that all the time. Whether it's Zipcar enabling them to go visit a sick parent, or we hear exceptional stories of people taking Zipcars to their own weddings, people using Zipcars to go to the hospital for the birth of their first child. And it really is an extension of your personal vehicle. It just gives you access over ownership, which many people value.
If you want to learn more about Zipcar, please go to their website at zipcar.com. And please don't forget to follow our Center for Digital Strategies on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you so much for being here today.
Wesley, thanks for the time. Thank you.